Cheers. Well, we haven't finished. Well, we haven't started. Anyway, cheers. This is the last of the carver that I opened the other day, so it's not a new bottle every day. Alright? Okay, so what am I going to cook with you today? Well, continuing on the vegetarian vegan side. Well, it's more vegetarian actually, because there are some things that are maybe not vegan. But you could make this vegan. It's a ratatouille. Now, for all those of you that remember school dinners, ratatouille brought dread into the heart of anyone that had school dinners, because it was the most disgusting, chopped up, mashed up mush you could ever think of. That was my first experience of ratatouille and I hated it. What I want to do for you now is a lovely, rich, chunky ratatouille which I actually serve with garlic bread. So nice, really Moorish. It's almost like eating a bowl of pizza with garlic bread. Okay, so what are we actually going to use for the ratatouille? Well, several stages to this, and I've actually done some of it because it's quite boring you watching me sort of grill vegetables and things. So I've done some of it and I'll do some of it now. So what I've actually got is we're going to make a sauce, okay? And the sauce is going to be a base of onions. I've got shallots and roasted red onions, garlic and celery. We're going to start to sweat that off. We're going to, into that we're going to grind some spices, which I'll tell you about in a minute. We're then going to add a little bit of white wine and some tomatoes. Now you can actually use tinned tomatoes, you can use fresh tomatoes. Personally, I choose to use a passata that's ready made, and then for texture I get little cherry tomatoes which I've roasted, okay? I hope they don't look burnt, but they're actually oven kissed is what I call, and I actually roasted them with a little homemade basil oil, which I'm going to introduce to the ratatouille later. So the tomato passata with the fresh cherry tomatoes that I roasted add different textures and also flavours. You can also add sun-blushed tomatoes or sun-dried tomatoes if you wish, okay? That's for the sauce. Then we will simmer that sauce until it becomes nice and rich. I like to make it a little bit sweet, so I have some sugar at hand. Then whilst that's going on, we'll have started to roast our vegetables. Now, I did say I'm going to make the sauce out of shallots and roasted red onions. So I've already taken some red onions and roasted them. I'm going to put half in the sauce and I'll add half later. Again, for texture and colour appearance, okay? Then the vegetables we're using are aubergine. Now the aubergine, you know what an aubergine looks like. I've actually cut up and prepared it because you want to salt them to draw out the moisture. Okay, so I've salted, this is the second side. Those will be rinsed off with water before I grill them, okay, to make sure they're nice and crisp. Courgette, now this was a big one, and I've got a little fancy cutter here that I've just gone down the side of the courgette and got these strips off. I've kept the strips because I'm going to fry these after and use these as garnish. Okay, and the courgettes I've sliced, and we actually put this back on. Slice and put them on the pan. No oil, okay? I don't want any oil because I don't want the ratatouille to be greasy. Now the peppers, I was going to use, well, I've actually used this one. This was a nice long green pepper and red pepper and yellow, but I went shopping and I found these little beauties. Aren't they cute? So I found little red peppers and little yellow peppers, and I thought if you're having a vegetarian dish, make it as interesting as possible, and having little baby vegetables in there, roasted vegetables as well as the grilled vegetables with the lovely rich tomato sauce is going to make it really interesting. Okay, and then the fried little garnish of the zucchini skin on top will be really cool. So these little things and these. Okay, I've actually started to grill those off, okay, and that's with no oil at all. Alright, so I'm going to put the pan back on, I'm also going to start making the sauce. Exciting. A friend of mine messaged me last week when I made the Spanish style, Catalan style casserole stew, and he actually went and bought all the ingredients, and he made it, and he sent me a picture. Amazing! It looks superb, and you told me it tasted heavenly. So well done, well done. Keep it going, keep it going. Okay, so all I'm going to do is just cut the rest of this courgette. Zucchini if you live in America. And that's just going to go straight on. Again, so say no oil, no salt. And I'm just going to put the rest of these little peppers that I cut up. You still have the little membrane in there with the pips, so you just want to get rid of that. And who's seen the film Ratatouille? Vegetarian dish made famous by a rat. Yeah. But if you actually notice the way that was actually made, the vegetables were carefully sliced and layered in lines, and then the sauce was placed over the top. Again, a different twist on how you can make ratatouille. This is more of a peasant dish for me. That was more elegant in the film, even though it was made by a rat. This is more of a peasant dish, so it's going to be more like a casserole again, okay? Alright, so in that, I'm using my wok to make the sauce. You can't see it, sorry. So I've got 3 shallots, which I'm leaving quite chunky. That's just gone in the floor. 1, 2, 3 rule. I'll give that a quick rinse. Didn't see that, did you? Oh, come on, we always drop things in the floor. My mother was famous for dropping everything in the floor. Nothing went from the cooker to the table without going in the floor at least once. Isn't that right, Mother? Bless her. She'd kill me if she could hear me. But she doesn't have internet or Wi-Fi, so she's never ever going to see or hear this. But it's nothing I wouldn't say to her face. So the shallots have gone in there. Celery, quite chunky. Now a little olive oil. Now, this might get a bit smoky, so I might have to put the extractor on, in which case I might have to shout a little bit more. I've got 3 cloves of garlic because I like ratatouille to be very sweet and have that lovely garlic flavour in the background, okay? That nearly went in the floor as well then. Now, when you're cooking, try and think about what you're doing, because I know lots of people that start things and they get a couple of minutes into cooking and they go, oh, I haven't got, or what to do with. Think about your food, think about what it is you're doing, give it some thought. Respect your food and your ingredients. Because when you start to think about things, you actually think about flavours and textures and colours. All these things are important. I mean, there are lots of people that just woof food down, whatever you place in front of them, because it's fuel. Good food is there for everyone and to be enjoyed, and the flavours and textures and everything to be enjoyed. So enjoy it and enjoy cooking it, enjoy making it. I believe the more passion you put into food when you're making it, it's going to come out in the end result. Alright, so the garlic, I'm going to leave it sliced, not too chopped. Finely, as is the word I'm looking for. Now, because I'm going to add in a minute some of the red onion that I've already roasted, I'm leaving that a little while because it's already roasted. The red onion is quite sweet in itself, and because it's roasted, I've caramelised that sweetness. So again, it's going to add another depth to the flavour. Should have seen me in here earlier with those vegetables. Steam coming off this, it was like which is why I pre-thought about it for camera. So I do think about you. Now, if you take your time with a dish like this and be careful how you make each little bit, it will add huge value to your finished dish, both aesthetically and flavour-wise. And you'll enjoy it more. And to be honest, and if you've got friends coming around to have it with you, they'll be impressed. They'll be going, "Oh, how did you make that?" And you'll be going, "Oh, it's easy. It's a piece of pig." Oh, shouldn't swear to camera, should I? Okay, so look, so they're sweating down nicely. I just want them to sweat a little bit more. I'm going to add the garlic in there. Being careful of my fingers. I forgot to buy a baguette today for the garlic bread, but I did remember I got some burger buns in the freezer from when I made burgers ages ago. Waste not, want not. You can turn this into really, really nice garlic bread, and I'll show you how after. Someone said to me the other day, "Oh, your garlic bread's lovely. How do you do it? Do you actually go and buy it?" I think that was my response. Okay, that's cooking nicely. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the heat down on that. I'm going to add half the red onion. Save the other half. Now, what I did do, as I took that out of the oven, there was some of the outside bits that were a bit too crispy, and I didn't want in there, but waste not, want not, because you nibble on those. The benefit of being you cook. Right, I'm going to get rid of those. See, I could give them to an assistant if I had one, but I don't. Okay, so I want to talk about the spices. So, excuse me, if you don't have a mortar and pestle at home, you've probably got one of those blitzers or coffee grinder or something like that. You can actually do this in those. I'm just going to pull that off the heat for a minute until I've done the spices. I'm going to take these vegetables out. Now, the idea of this is to actually get some colour on them and to soften them, but not necessarily cook them, because they're going to finish off in the sauce. Sorry for going off camera there. Whilst that's doing, I don't know if you can actually see, but the aubergines have sweated. Okay, so I'm going to rinse those off. I'm just going to put them in a colander, or as I've got a sieve. I'm going to put some more paper towel from my little bumper roll on there because I want to pat them dry. I'm going to rinse that salt off. Just going to let those drain a moment. I'm going to turn the heat on that thing down. Okay, the spices. What I'm going to use is cilantro seeds, and for those of you that don't know what cilantro is in Spanish, is see, do you ever forget words? What's cilantro in English? It's not parsley, it's I've forgotten the word. It'll come to me. And I'm using yellow mustard seeds as well. So I love the way these add a little flavour. Coriander, that's the word. For me, that's both one of the joys and one of the downfalls of learning a new language. I forget my English sometimes. Okay, so I'm going to tip the aubergine out onto paper towel. I'm going to space them out. And I'm going to dab them. Sorry, you can't actually see this. It's not very exciting. No, is that my best side? Never really thought about that actually. I'm sort of stuck because I can put the camera there. No, I can't put the camera there. I've got a shelf there. Okay, so I've dabbed these, and what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put these on my griddle, and let's get some colour on these little beauties. Now, I think one of my early dislikes of Ratatouille was that everything was mushed up and the aubergine was slimy. Doing it this way, you're actually drawing out some of the moisture from the aubergine, from the flesh, and you're going to give it a little bit of texture, a bit of crunchiness, toasted feeling on the outside before you put it into the sauce, which is great. So just going to let those sit on there for a minute. So I've got the seeds in here, and as I say, if you've got a machine that does this for you, that's fine. But this is really therapeutic. You feel at one with nature. Something. So I want to grind these up quite nicely into a nice powder. Oh my god, the smell of that coriander seed is unbelievable. Oh, it's like, where's the kind of smell you'd expect in Indian cuisine? Why is it going in ratatouille? You try it in a tomato sauce, it's unbelievable. Okay, so I've ground those down to a fine powder. I'm now going to put that in there because fry your spices before you add any liquid, okay? Now your aubergines, you don't want them black, but you do want a nice bit of colour. And that's doing just nicely. For those of you that can't do two things at once, make dinner without drinking. Or maybe the drinking will actually help. Just a thought. So I've now got the spices in there. So they're gonna cook a little bit. They're gonna roast in the pan, which will help release the flavour. all important. Bet you've never seen ratatouille made like this, have you? There's no rat under my hat. I haven't got a hat. Just so you know, I don't drink all the time. I had friends over the other night and they were drinking on the terrace. They kept inviting me out to join them. I kept saying, no, I'm fine. I was watching a movie. I was drinking tea. I don't drink all the time. Right, you can't smell this, but the smell of those spices as they're heating up in the pan is so unreal. It's so beautiful. It's actually hitting my sinus. I've got a runny nose now. Beautiful. Ow. So I'm going to turn the skillet off. Going to take all my lovely roasted vegetables away. How lovely did they look? Amazing! Amazing, really is amazing. So I'm going to leave that one off. I'm going to, ow, it gets really, really hot. Oh my God, that's so hot. I can't touch it. Oh, there we go. Chefs are supposed to have really, really asbestos fingers. I'm a delicate flower, I'm sorry. Right, so we've started to roast those spices and that smell is absolutely amazing. Right, what I'm going to do, as I always do, I'm going to use some wine. And I'm using white wine. I think red wine's a little bit too heavy for ratatouille, so a little white wine. And that releases all those flavours again, and that's so heady. Beautiful. Just going to let that cook off a little bit. It's amazing. Now I had a little bit of passata left over from the other day, and I do have another one. And I know they're not the same brand, but it's okay. It's not right, but it's okay. Okay, so into there I'm going to add now the tomato. Save my jars because I wash them and recycle. Have as much or as little sauce as you choose, okay? I like it quite saucy because now I've sort of griddled roasted the vegetables, they will absorb some of that sauce. But I have seen some recipes where it's actually quite dry. I'm not a sort of dry person with sauce. No. Again, tidy as you go along. Again, you'll notice I haven't seasoned anything yet. However, at this stage, I am going to put a bay leaf into my sauce. Ooh, that's still hot. I'm going to turn that down to a little simmer because I don't want the sauce to boil. Right, so all I want to do there is get all the flavours of those sautéed vegetables and those roasted spices infused with that, and the white wine infused with the tomato sauce and the bay leaf before I even think about adding the vegetables. Now, what I actually thought of doing whilst we're waiting is I'll make the garlic bread, because actually putting it together is really, really easy. Now, hands up those who know how to make garlic butter. No, I can't say that word again. It's easy. Yes, it is. It's easy. So So, all you need, well I say all you need is butter and garlic. But you can add to it as you choose. So I'm using half a stick of butter. I'm going to use 2 cloves of garlic. Now this needs to be, for me, it needs to be crushed and pureed. So smack it with the back of the knife to get rid of the skin. Nice and easy like that. Then again, you can actually do this in you can do the garlic butter in a blender if you've got a blender. It's fine. Okay, so once you've actually chopped that, you can actually use the side of your blade against your chopping board, and you drag it towards you under the blade and press down, keeping your fingers away from the blade, okay? So there we go. That's going into the butter. Now also into the butter, you can use fresh herbs, but I use dried, so I'm going to use tomillo, which is thyme. And some parsley. I'm going to mash that down. And then I have one last secret ingredient. Can you guess what it is yet? It's actually lemon juice. Now I usually have fresh lemons in the house, but I've also got this. So a good squirt of that, which is probably about the equivalent of the juice of about a quarter of a lemon, third of a lemon. The actual lemon juice with the herbs and the garlic do add a really nice dimension to your garlic bread. You're just going to have to trust me on that. If you don't believe me, you don't have to use it. Now into that I'm going to put some pepper. And some salt. There we go. So all I'm going to do is just put lots of garlic butter on each of these burger buns. Now if you've got a baguette like I was hoping to, you can cut it long strips, halves, you know, or you can cut rounds. It's your garlic bread, you can do it however you like. I'm going to grill these. And I'll actually cut them into fingers to serve. Meanwhile, the sauce is beginning to look like that. Now I haven't tasted it yet, so I should taste it. Oh my god. Right, so there's no seasoning in there. It needs some salt and pepper. but really doesn't need a lot. It's got a hint of sweetness, so I'm just going to develop that sweetness just a little bit with a little teaspoon of sugar. You're thinking, what? A little bit of sweetness with tomatoes elevates the flavour. Lemon juice does the same. Right, so I don't make a mess in my oven, I'm going to put these in a roasting tray. Like that. Okay. Now once the sauce is actually ready, so I'm going to put some pepper in now and salt. For all of you that have got a great big pepper mill at home, fantastic. Some people say big ones are the better ones. I say as long as it works, it doesn't matter. Bit more salt. Now you've got your sauce full of flavour. You've got your vegetables grilled with lovely griddle lines on there. We're going to add those. I'm going to add the aubergines last because they need least. I'm going to put the peppers in. And the courgettes. Just look at that. All I'm going to do is toss them in the sauce. Don't go mushing them up. You don't want the pieces to break up. They're just going to sit in that sauce. I'm now going to add the remainder of the sweet red onion. Oh my God. Can you see how rich and beautiful that is? Now then, as a serving suggestion, I do it with garlic bread. You can actually use this as a vegetable to accompany meat, if you wish. What I'm actually going to do, I'm going to serve it in a bowl, and as always I'll post a picture. Where are we? 33 minutes. I'm going to serve it in a bowl. I'm going to fry the zucchini strips for garnish. I bought these little tiny mozzarella balls. I'm actually going to sit them in the hot sauce as I'm serving it, and they'll slowly start to be like a bowl of liquid pizza. And then I'm going to serve it with the garlic bread. Now, I don't know if you can see here, I actually got basil oil, which I made. What? Now, you can go and buy a bottle of basil oil in your supermarket. Fine, but don't. All you need is a good quality olive oil, which you've got in your cupboard, probably, and some fresh basil. Then I use my liquidizer thing. I put the basil leaves and the stalks in. olive oil, a little hint of lemon juice, and I blitz it. That's it. And I've got this lovely basil oil. Now I've got my garlic bread like that. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to drizzle basil oil just over the bread. So you can do your garlic bread your way. Everyone's got a different way. Then I'm also going to take actually I'm not, because the sauce is evaporated. Normally what I do is take a little bit of the tomato sauce. In fact, what I'm going to do is take it from here. I've actually got the sauce just perfect in my ratatouille, so I've got none spare just to spoon out. Normally I'd spoon out a little bit of sauce onto my garlic bread. Again, you're just spreading the flavours. Okay. I'm putting that back under the grill. I'm now going to add my aubergine. That just needs to almost warm through. I can't tell you, but that smells, look at those colours. That's heaven. So I'm just going to now let the rest of the aubergine and those vegetables soak up that tomato sauce. At the last minute I'm going to put the baby roasted tomatoes in a bowl with the garlic bread, which is currently beginning to look like mini pizzas now, along with the fried zucchini. I'll do that off camera. I'll send you a picture. Not forgetting the cheesy balls. Cheers to that.